Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Neither Peter J. Deruta or his guests are liable for the usage of information discussed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken.
Hi, this is Coach Pete.
And hello, I'm Peter Rashan.
And if you've got questions about how to safely and properly allocate your investments, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Financial Safari.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete Deruta. Coach Pete and his guests are some of the nation's top financial professionals. They make it their mission to guide investors through the treacherous jungle of the financial world, showing them how to grow, keep, and leave their money for their loved ones. Coach Pete is a frequent contributor to Fox Business Network, CNBC, The Wall Street Journal, and many other news outlets. They come to Coach Pete for their answers, and now so can you. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world on the Financial Safari.
Welcome, everybody, to the Financial Safari. Great to have you along with us each and every week here on the show. I'm Walter Storholt, and we have our full crew here today. Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm good. Hope you are, too.
Doing great. That's Donna Mason. John Stillman is here as well. Hey, John.
Hello, good sir.
And the king of income planning, published financial author, Pete Deruta.
And it's always a pleasure, Mr. Walt.
We like to call him Coach Pete, of course.
Of course you do, if you like to keep your job.
Well, folks, we've got a great show on the way. I'll be sure to say Coach Pete, Coach Pete, Coach Pete many times in a row today, but great information for you in store. And Coach, you've got something in your hands over there. It's the 10 things to know about planning your retirement income. Looks like a great workbook.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way to just organize your facts and see if you're on the right track financially. We get a lot of calls each and every week nationwide from people who are just wondering. They're wondering if they're in the right place. And I mean, the election a couple weeks ago has a lot of people wondering what's going on with the country. Are they on the right track financially based on what's going on politically? And, all about our national debt. I mean, we've heard a lot of conversations about that since the election and this gigantic debt we have now of over $16 trillion. And to me, the idea that Obama is going to get this national debt under control is like telling everyone that Colonel Sanders is going to save the chicken, folks. It's just not going to happen. So what we have to do is pay attention to our own individual financial planning and make sure we can isolate our financial plans from some of the things that are coming down, that debt cliff that we have, the Obamacare that's going into action. These are all taxes. I mean, they're creative names. You have to hand it to the other side in the political spectrum there, is they're great wordsmiths. But what it comes down to, no matter what you hear, when there's a new program, a new opportunity, whatever they call it, if it's a tax. So you have to isolate some of your money from taxes, and you have to make sure that your money is also isolated from potential markets ups and downs. And of course, ups are good, but if you're just in the market for the gains, and you don't really have an exit strategy of when you're going to get out, it's great to watch the market go up. But if you don't get out, you lost that money all over again. So this workbook is gonna do a good job for people, educating them on what they really should be doing going forward.
Well, one of the things that's interesting is at the very first page, before they actually get into the meat of this, it says historically the United States has had 3 strong legs of retirement, which would be the Social Security system, a well-funded Social Security system, substantial corporate pensions with retiree health benefits, and then add to that a strong personal savings rate. So that has changed. Again, they said historically.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we always talk about is how that has changed and how you have to kind of DIY, do it yourself.
Yeah, things change as we go along. So just putting money away, set it and forget it is not a good strategy these days if your money is in a risk type account. So be very careful going forward, but this book can help educate you. And if you give us a call right now, when you come in to meet with one of our advisors nationwide to do a financial stress test to make sure you can see if what you have right now is going to do what it's supposed to do going forward. At least know ahead of time that you may be taking a little bit more risk than you should be taking, or maybe you're not taking enough risk, or you're not taking the right risk. Our advisors nationwide can help map out a proper strategy for you. But the first step is up to you, folks. Complacency and procrastination are going to be your two biggest enemies in retirement.
So get informed, folks, and pick up the phone and call 800-661-7383. Again, that's 800-661-7383. And there's always more information online at financialsafari.com. So, Coach, take us through. We may not have time for all 10 of these things to know about planning your retirement income, but give us a few highlights, a few of the important ones that you've seen in this workbook that people need to know about.
Well, to take the politics out of financial planning, over 4.5 years ago, we had a Wharton School of Business professor on our show. His name is Dr. David Babel, and he had just done a comprehensive 3-year research project in the Wharton School of Finance, and that's the #1 finance school in the world as far as I'm concerned, as far as financial planning. And what they arrived at is people are neglecting to plan for income in retirement, and he was trying to find out in his study where people should put their money to have that lifetime of income as they get older. I mean, it's great when you retire to basically not go into work and decide you're going to start doing fun things. It doesn't quite get as fun as you go forward if you don't have the money to pay for it, does it?
No, not at all.
And so you don't qualify for certain things when you don't have a paycheck coming in. So you have to plan for a long life in your retirement plan. And #1 in this book addresses that as far as how to plan, how to be proactive, and how to make sure that your money's going to do what you think it's going to do as you go forward, and how not to be fooled by those funhouse mirrors that a lot of people fall for in retirement. Have you ever been to funhouse before, Donna? You
Yes, I have.
Remember the ones that made you look like real fat or real skinny or real goofy looking, where it stretched you out like Gumby almost? Remember?
Exactly. I always stood in front of the really skinny one.
Yeah, well, of course everyone did. Well, when I was little, I wanted to be the big guy, and now that I'm big, I want to be the little guy.
There you go.
Well, it's interesting that we talk about the idea of living too long being a problem, but in reality, when it comes to running out of money, that's really what you're facing.
Well, of course, everyone says, "Oh, I don't care if my plan doesn't last past 80, because by the time I get there, I'm not going to care anymore." Until they reach what? The age 80.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, 80 doesn't feel that old anymore. You know, when I was 10, 40 looked old. Now that I'm 46, it's not old anymore, right? So it's all relative. So stop telling us that you don't care if you have money at 80. Yes, you do. And yes, you will, or your spouse will, or your children or grandchildren will, that are having to take care of you and pay your bills. So be responsible and plan for a long life, and make sure to plan that if you don't live as long as you think you're going to live, that the money you've put aside goes to your next of kin, your family members. And there's a way to do that, but you have to set the accounts up correctly.
Well, hand in hand with that is number 2 about healthcare expenses are going to increase. Everything's going to increase.
Absolutely.
But exponentially, healthcare expenses.
Well, as we live longer, the supply and demand curve that we learned in Econ 101 basically says that the more people who want something, the more you can charge for it, especially if the supply is not there. And we look at these long-term care facilities, they're at 100% occupancy in most places.
Yep.
So we're going to have to plan for ourselves. And folks, the more money you have when it's time to get in there, the better place you're going to be in. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But plan for that. And of course, when I talk to people, no one wants to admit they're ever going to need a long-term care facility or need help in retirement, do they?
No, they never do.
But when you get to that point, isn't it great to know that you do have someone there to help you? And I do talk to a lot of folks who are getting a little older who go to the assisted living facilities now because they've saved up enough money. And it's not for long-term care. It's not to have anyone take care of them. It's so they could be around other people in their same group of fun things to do. Like everyone in the same age group likes to do certain things. And so that's what you want to do. You want to save so you're in control in retirement, and it's taking the control away from the government and into your hands. And that's why you plan for healthcare expenses.
Another one that's in here, Coach, that I think is very important is not only the fact that you need to account for inflation in the future, but the fact that inflation may rise. There may even be more inflation as we go forward.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you that's exactly correct, Walt. I mean, inflation is here to stay. I mean, there'll always be inflation. And again, the more that people underestimate it, the more it's going to hurt. Price of gas is a good example of that. I mean, look at what we're paying at the pump right now, the price of food. I don't do most of the shopping in my family. I go to buy the junk food every now and then.
You do the fun shopping.
The fun shopping. And a bottle of wine every now and then for a wine tasting or whatever. But my wife sees it every single week. And she doesn't realize it as much because she's there every single week. It's the old frog in the pot of water trick. Are you familiar with that? Let me educate everyone out there on this.
Go ahead.
If you have a frog and you're ready to eat some frog legs, which I've never tried, never will, by the way, but if you you say, to prepare frog legs, you need to get a boiling pot of water and drop the frog in. Well, if you did that, guess what the frog would do?
He'll jump out.
He'll jump right out. But what they tell me is the best way to do that is to put a frog in a cold pot of water, or lukewarm, so the frog's happy. He's not saying it's too cold. And you turn the heat up very slowly to the point where it becomes a boiling pot of water, and the frog didn't know any better. He boils to death. And that's what's happening a lot of times with inflation if people don't take the right approaches. If they don't have an account that has some guaranteed growth for retirement income, that's a recipe for disaster. And there are accounts out there, despite what your commission-only broker may tell you when they try to keep you all in the stock market. There are ways now to balance your portfolio and get an account that grows by 5, 6, 7% per year guaranteed for retirement income. But the first thing you must do out there is get a copy of this workbook and also have a no-cost risk analysis done on your portfolio, making sure you don't have too much risk, and also put your portfolio under a stress test. Now, I'm at the age where I have to go to the doctor, and a stress test is no fun. And it shouldn't be fun for your portfolio either. You need to put your portfolio through that kind of rigors there to make sure that you're not overpaying on fees, expenses, commissions. Make sure you have that income plan in place.
It's a very intense example using the frog in the boiling pot of water, but it's a very true example, folks. And not only can you get that solid foundation of advice from your local trusted advisor and from someone with the Financial Safari team, but you can also get a copy of this workbook, The 10 Things You Need to Know About Planning Your Retirement Income. A lot of good information here. All you have to do is come in and meet with a team member from the Financial Safari and discuss your financial situation. To do that, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call. 800-661-7383 is the number. Again, that's 800-661-7383. And of course, if you're more comfortable online, you can go to financialsafari.com, and there are a lot of options there as well.
Now, I can understand you listening right now and say, I don't have time to meet with a financial team. I don't have an hour of my life to give and make sure that I'm fine. Folks, you really can't afford not to meet with a planner to make sure you get that second opinion to get you to and through retirement. Stop telling yourself you don't have time and start picking up that phone and dialing right now.
Folks, again, that number to call, 800-661-7383. That's 800-661-7383. Stay tuned because there's a lot to come here on the Financial Safari. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Financial Safari, your weekly show that looks inside that complex financial world. And it's time to make things a little bit simpler for you by answering some of your questions. These following questions come to us from financialsafari.com, where people have logged on and submitted their questions to the team. So without further ado, time for our favorite part of the show. It's time for the questions. All right, Donna, let's give that wheel a spin. Good strong spin.
Oh, number 10. Oh, this is interesting. We have one from Donna in the studio. It is, I have an IRA at my local credit union. What should I do with it to maximize or to minimize taxes in the future?
So it's an IRA. Donna in the studio.
Yeah.
Donna didn't tell us her age, John.
And she's not going to.
Donna's pretty tall, though. Tall Donna. How tall are you, Donna?
6'1".
6'1". So Donna is tall Donna.
That's a lot of woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at, so you have an IRA, and it's with the bank, and your main question is what?
What should I do with it? Because, I'm ultimately going to get hit with taxes. Is there a way to minimize that?
The problem today when we say at the bank, banks offer most everything these days, and not the best of everything, in my opinion, a lot of times, but is it just sitting in like CDs at the bank, or where is it at the bank right now? Or is it in the mutual fund division there at the bank when they pointed you over to the place where it's not safe money?
Well, it's with CDs.
Okay, so CDs, so your interest rates are probably about 1% right now, or I don't know how long your CDs were with the IRA.
I really don't know. See, and I think this is fairly typical of a lot of people, but I'm sure 1% is...
You put it with the bank, and then unfortunately, Don, a lot of people they come in and they say, quote unquote, my money's with the bank, and then when we do some research, we find out that the money's really not at the bank. They entered the bank with their money, and they thought they were doing business with the bank, but the bank pointed them inside the bank to a little corner office where the guy or gal in there was selling them mutual funds, or the evil, in my opinion, variable annuities. So we'll do a little more research with you since you're right here to make sure it really isn't CDs like you said. But now taxes, it's an IRA, so no matter when you take the money out in the future, you're going to be paying taxes on every single penny because you haven't paid taxes on any of the money already. Same with 401ks, 403bs, or TSPs, thrift savings plans, and a lot of other tax qualified plans. Your choices are, Donna, right now, you can convert that IRA to a Roth IRA, taking advantage of the tax rates as they are today. Now, I'm not a futurist. I'm a historian. When we talk about the financial world and tax world in particular, we are all historians when it comes to the stock market and the tax market. Do you think taxes are going to go up in the future?
Well, of course.
So if you think taxes are going to go up in the future, it might make sense to at least have a stress test done on that IRA. Make sure you're in the right place, number one. And also do a financial tax analysis on future taxation and what kind of effect that could have if you leave it where it is right now.
So I can call the 800 number and talk to you later?
Well, yes, you can, Donna.
Okay.
And I will not accept your call unless you call the 800 number because you have to be one of the first 15 callers right now.
And folks, the number to call in and talk with the team from the Financial Safari, like Donna, is to pick up the phone and dial 800-661-7383. Again, that's 800-661-7383.
So that was a good question, Donna, and it's a question a lot of people have on their minds. So you can go. You can be excused if you'd like to go and call right now.
Well, I have to tell you, there's obviously a lot more to think about, and I thought it was very simple, but I'm sure I'm not alone.
I wish the financial world were a little simpler than it is, but part of me is happy that it is kind of complex because we have millions of listeners each and every week on the show.
And Donna, we can't just let you go yet. You have to do more duty spinning the wheels.
Okay.
So you can call in a few minutes.
Okay.
We'll give Donna a reprieve.
Yes.
All right, this is question number 6, which comes from Paul in the Silicon Valley area. I took Social Security at age 62. If I'd started taking it at 66, I wouldn't have even broken even until I was 77. I've never heard you mention this.
So Paul did studies, I guess, to show when he break even, and we do that anytime someone talks about taking Social Security early, before 67 or 65, whatever age they're really entitled to get full benefit. What we do is help them analyze that. And one of the things we spend a lot of time doing lately is if you're husband and wife and you have a pretty big age difference, and maybe you're the wife and you haven't worked as much or as long as your husband has because you've been home taking care of the kids, which, disclaimer, that's more work than the husbands do a lot of times, isn't it, Donna?
Yes, well, I don't have children, but I've
heard. You hear about that, so it's a lot of work. But your Social Security benefit will be a lot less. Sometimes it's your benefit as a spouse, as a younger spouse, to go ahead and take Social Security as early as you can. And people would say, well, why? Because that's such a low benefit. Well, because the minute your spouse dies, and of course, if you're younger, the odds tell us if you're a woman and you're younger than your spouse, the odds tell you you're pretty much assured that you're going to outlive your spouse. When your spouse dies, you get to pick only one of the benefits, either yours or your husband's. And so which one is usually higher? The husband's. So you're better off going and taking yours now because you're not going to get to keep it if your husband passes away.
Okay.
So, again, it's all on a case-by-case basis, but a lot of people don't understand how to properly, and this is a word that's used in political circles, manipulate, right? Manipulate the benefits in your favor legally, using what's available to you to make sure you're getting the most benefit right now, because you put a lot of money in over the years. Take the max benefit as much as you can. Make sure Social Security works in your favor. And, John, a lot of people that I meet with are taking Social Security early these days because they don't have any confidence that the system's going to be as it is right now in the future. We don't tell you what to do. We'll give you the numbers side by side. You make the decision. But if you haven't seen the numbers side by side and you're making a decision, you're making a decision based on half the facts.
One thing that's important to realize, folks, is that there are options out there. You just have to know what all the options are so you can make the most informed decision. To find out about your particular options, whatever your situation may be when it comes to the financial world, to speak with a team member with the Financial Safari, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 800-661-7383. Again, that's 800-661-7383. Let's give that wheel another spin. Number 15. And number 15 is from Bob in Minneapolis. Bob says, Coach, that he plans to retire next year at 66. He has $700,000 in investments, $450,000 in a 401k, Social Security, and a defined pension. He says he currently rents and he'll be moving to another state. He wants to know, should he rent or buy?
That's a very good question, Bob. He didn't say what state, did he?
He did not say what state he's moving to.
Maybe he's moving to one that has no income taxes, which would be great for Bob, I guess, if he wants to. Renting and buying is a difficult decision, and it's one that shouldn't be approached lightly. What you really need to do is sit down and with a CPA or a certified tax coach and make sure you understand the implications of buying. Make sure you can, with that kind of money he has put aside, he didn't say if he's planning on paying cash or whatever. I would not pay a single penny in cash if I didn't have to these days with these low interest rates, by the way. There's no joy in paying a home off if you don't have any money left to do anything in it. And especially with interest rates right now in the 3s. So, Bob, what I would do is I would look around. We've seen some numbers, and now it appears it's almost more affordable to buy than rent. But this could all change in 2013 if they take away the mortgage deduction. So pay attention. Use some of that money you have put aside, Bob. What you really need with that $700,000, you need an investment overview. And what that means is you need to figure out a way to capture market gains while maintaining stability. I didn't say safety, but safety for some of that money is important. But you need to design a plan to capture a significant percentage of the gains in an up market while maintaining losses in a down market. In other words, not losing as much as you should. And we've got strategies made perfectly for you on that. Give a call right now and let our team help you advise of buying or renting, and also what you should do with that $700,000.
The number to call, 800-661-7383. That's 800-661-7383. Well, we know what that means.
Yes, I do. Hey, folks, it's time for the Financial Fortune of the Week, and the story of this is, back when we were little, our family would go out to eat Chinese food, and we'd all get these little cookies at the end, and when you broke them open, they had a little piece of paper in there, and you read them, it was your fortune. And so what we do here, when we did back in the day, is we'd put in the kitchen at the end of our fortune just to make it more exciting. What we do here on the show is we put the phrase "in retirement" at the end of the fortune. So, again, Donna is our expert at this research. She goes and collects a cookie a week. We'll call Donna the Cookie Monster of the show. Donna, what did you find this week?
Oh, Donna.
This one says, "Oops, wrong cookie," so I don't think we can use that. But our fortune cookie this week says, "Little and often makes much."
In retirement.
So little and often makes much. So saving for retirement, the more you can put away when you're working, the better you're going to be in retirement if you take the right choices, of course, with your money. So a little bit, remember Ben Franklin also said it, a penny saved is what?
A penny earned.
A penny earned. And a lot of people forget this, and they basically throw their arms up in the air because they watch TV, they watch these shows where it shows you, it's called MTV Cribs, I guess, where they go show people's houses where these multimillionaires have $1 million beds they're sleeping on and that kind of thing, and you're watching, you're saying, I'll never get there, so I'm not even going to try. That's the worst attitude to take, folks. And that quitting attitude is not what our country was founded on. Save now, save later, save for the future, save as much as you can, save in the right place, and you'll be on the right track.
Do you really watch that show?
No, but I've thumbed by there, but I did see it, like $1 million bed one time.
I was worried.
This show is not for me, because I would never spend that for a bed. Spend a night, not a fortune, I always say.
So save a little and you'll gain a lot in the future.
Absolutely, and get knowledge. Knowledge is the key as we go forward. So the most important thing for you listening right now is to make sure you get with a planner who understands your situation, doesn't give you generic advice, but gives you customized advice and helps you go through that stress test, we call it, and make sure to do a risk analysis on where your money is, making sure you're not in the wrong place for the wrong time of your life.
And folks, that number to call is 800-661-7383. Again, that's 800-661-7383. Well, Coach, that's about all the time that we have on this week's show. Any final thoughts for the listeners?
Well, the time flies. Like we always say, the show goes by fast, but retirement gets here quicker. Folks, save for your retirement. Make sure you enjoy yourself this week. We'll see you next week on the Financial Safari. What is a laddered income strategy? A laddered income strategy we call financial cruise control. It's about those dollars per year, DPY, making sure you get enough money coming in for the rest of your life. Now, how do you do this? The first thing you must do is identify where all your assets are right now and making sure to find some that you want in these financial cruise control type accounts. Now, financial cruise control is just looking at what you have right now and what you're going to need in the future. Because as you get older, some of the money you have must be in a place to give you that income that you don't have to worry about as you get older. If you want to picture a speedometer goes up and down as you press the gas and let the gas off. If you could get a speedometer or a car that would go in one speed at all times, that's income planning, making sure you have that financial cruise control that'll keep you going to and through retirement. Now, a tachometer is that other gauge that's in a lot of cars that shows you the revolutions per minute that your car's engine is going. And if you have too much risk, you'll notice the financial tachometer bending over to the red part of the gauge, and that's not good. So if you get close to the financial red zone, which we look at, anyone 55 and older is in the financial red zone. You're getting close to retirement, or you may even be retired. So it's vitally important that you have that money tachometer attached to your accounts. Financial cruise control is just looking at the assets you have now, taking some and putting them in a place that you will have income regardless of what happens in the market. That's why we tie that in with a laddered strategy, because if all your money is tied to the market, when the market goes the wrong way, your future income suffers. So the opinion here is take some money off the table each and every year from the risk world, put it into a laddered income strategy so that as you get into retirement and further through retirement, that your money is always going up, it's always coming in, and you never have to worry about what's going to happen if the market goes the other way. Laddering your money, getting a proper laddering strategy, will give you that peace of mind knowing that you have money to and through retirement, and you never depend on the market's ups and downs to get you what you need to get in the future.